When it comes to saving money as a small business owner, every little bit helps. When you lower your shipping costs and make returns easy, your customers stay happy whilst you save money. Worry less about the bottom line when you save money with ShipStation. Go to ShipStation.com and use the code JIM today and sign up for your free 60-day trial. 60-day trial. That's ShipStation.com, code JIM. I almost did that one. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK. That's BetterHelp, HELP/IDK to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/IDK. Milan, France. Do these words go together? Only if you're saying that Milan's not in France. Well, you won't find out anything because I've already told you. Good morning, America. How are you all going? Right now, I'm on a flight to Milan with Forrest. He's in the plane.
Amos is in another plane.
Amos is in another plane. Forrest is in the plane like this going, I ordered the pasta. I should have waited till I got there. It wasn't very good.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm either excited because I got upgraded and waiting, or I'm in the back like,
Yeah, and I'm coming back and visiting you like an asshole.
You want a dinner roll?
Yeah. I'm in the thing right between the flatbeds. Whatever that other section is, it's like
Economy Plus.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's all
not
right.
bad.
Yeah,
I'll be okay.
Yeah, a bit wider. You get to lay in a different way.
Lay
not a flatbed.
It's not a flatbed, but you get to. It's like you're falling asleep in front of your TV.
Yeah. Just keep going. Are we there yet? Oh no.
Even though this might sound a bit, even when you're in business class and they give you a flatbed, they go, you have a lovely sleep, and then you land. Under any other circumstances, it would still be a horrible sleep.
Yeah.
It's like you're in a bed that occasionally does this.
Well, not only that, it's not a mattress. It's like sleeping on a chair in a hospital.
Yeah.
Refreshed.
Yeah. You're sleeping on basically the size of a surfboard.
Yeah.
And it goes up and down, and you've got a belt around you. That's always a bit of fun.
No, the thing that's good is the space, though.
Oh, no. I'm not complaining. No. It's a wonderful place to travel. But it's like, if look, it's hard on both ends of the plane, people.
Yeah. And then whenever you wake up from those long flights, though, the planes always, when you're getting off, the planes look like it was just a bomb went off. And
when you have that sleeping tablet, you get off and you're like, I was hearing a story about a friend of mine who had a sleeping tablet, like knocked themselves out like this, right? Completely knocked themselves out. And then the plane just stayed on the runway for hours, and then had to get everyone off, and she had to be carried off. She was so passed out. We've got like a dead body here who's just fucking.
How's Milan doing? They came through.
They come through. There's still tickets if you want to go to Milan. There's still tickets, but a lot of Europe sold out. There's one day, because I do like an hour and a half on stage, and then you and Amos do 15 each, and so it's like a 2-hour show.
You're talking about Poland.
Poland.
2 shows.
And Helsinki, Finland.
I don't see 2 shows for Helsinki.
There's one of them. There's
on your website.
There's one. There's 2 in Helsinki. There's 2. What's the day before Poland?
Berlin.
No, day after.
No, I'm sorry. The Prague is the day before. Yeah. Then you have 2 shows in Warsaw, Poland, same day, and then Helsinki's the day after.
Helsinki's got 2 shows. They're already sold out, so they don't have to be listed. Helsinki's got a matinee, man. We're doing a 3 o'clock show.
Ooh,
I'm gonna do 6 hours of stand up in 24 hours.
Yeah.
That'll be my most concentrated. I'm gonna do the sets pretty much the same, because otherwise I'll be doing callbacks to jokes I haven't done.
Good news is you do have a day off after Helsinki.
I'm looking forward to it, man. Work me like a dog, man. I'm on the road, and we've also added onto the tour. If the good people of Dubai. We're coming to see you. After that, Israel, baby.
No, backward. Israel's on the 16th.
Doesn't matter what day.
Israel's May 16th. You go to JimJefferies.com. Check everything. Israel's the day before on May 16th. And then Dubai at the Dubai Opera House, May 17th. and then back to Belgium. Nice jaunt over there.
Also, we've just listed all the North American gigs for when we get back from Europe, and there's like Thunder Bay had to add a show. London, Ontario, you're about to have a show added. There's a whole lot of Canadian dates where we've had to add extra shows.
Have you ever been to Thunder Bay? That sounds cool.
I've got a Thunder Bay story.
Oh,
I've got a Thunder Bay story. So Thunder Bay is like this, smallish sort of city/town in Canada. And I think I might have had drugs on me. I was definitely drunk, but I was pissing up against the wall. I was that level of drunk, and we were walking along through Thunder Bay to go to this after party, right? And this fucking cop car rocks up, woo, with the lights right on me. I got me bloody bare ass half cracked, like I'm pissing up against the wall. Please turn around. I was still urinating, right? So turn around.
God.
So now I've got me dick out. I got my hands in the air, and I'm like, I'm done. I'm in so much trouble right now, right? And I think I might have had things on. It was not good, right? And the guy has his flashlight out, and there's another bloke pissing next to me. He was like the sound guy at the show, and I think Tommy Campbell was there. And they go over like this, and he pans over. And then he's like, hey, you guys are in a lot of trouble. And then it pans to my face. He's like, oh, man, I wanted to come to the show, but they made me work today. Like that, right? And I'm like, he's like, big fan, Jim. And I'm like, can I put my dick away? And he goes, oh, yeah, put your dick away, man. Right? And so I took photos with him. Then he drove us to the party. There's about 6 of us. We all got in there.
Yeah.
We're all like piled on top of each other. And then we showed up with the sirens, woo, up to the party. And everyone else, when we got there, flushed their drugs.
Because everyone always asks you, hey, when you come in your city, here's the North America dates. Hartford, Connecticut, Providence, Rhode Island, Thunder Bay, Canada, London, Canada, Hamilton, Ontario, Montreal, Sudbury,
Montreal's
Ontario,
adding a show.
Kingston, Canada, Ottawa, Canada, Thousand Oaks, California. That's local. Oakland, California, Anaheim, California, another local one. Cincinnati, Ohio, Chicago, New York, Hershey, Pennsylvania, Austin, Texas, Dallas, and Tysons, Virginia, which is basically D.C.
Yep.
Austin, you're going to be playing at Austin City Limits Live. That's a very famous venue for music.
I think, didn't I play that last time?
No, you never played there.
Oh.
You're always at the Paramount Theater in Austin. Oh. And then last time we were at the college. That's when I got COVID from that guy that came up in my face. Yeah. But Austin City Limits is, I mean, Jack knows about it. It's very famous.
Yeah, very big
very
music
famous
festival.
Music venue.
I've been to the Nutbush City Limits.
So, JimJefferies.com. Go to that. I have shows coming up too. July 9th in Philadelphia. If you're there, please come out to that. I'll also be in Montreal July 6th through 8th. And then you can go to foreshaw.net.
I want to plug...
okay, go ahead.
I've just been on the road with me 2 mates, Glenn Wall, Andrew Maxwell. They've just started a podcast called Idiots of the World. I'm on that one. So
Idiots?
Yeah, like how Irish people say
like idiots? Okay, yeah.
Idiots.
Yeah. And I just did their podcast in a hotel room with them, and they're very funny men, and go subscribe to them.
All right, and then IDCat podcast on Instagram and our Patreon.
Patreon.com/IDCat.
Yeah, I never remember it. I just let you say it. But it's super simple.
It's so hard to remember.
Yeah.
How
and
could
then
you?
We also have podcasts. You have a podcast?
Yeah.
So many podcasts.
The Unsolicited podcast.
Yeah. Last time I put my mind, and then you go, we have one too. I was like, all right, fine. It's not a competition.
I was just fucking.
The Merman podcast. Listen to it. Merman podcast with Dave Williamson. Let's do some ads.
I just do this one. When it comes to saving money, as a small business owner, every little bit helps. ShipStation gives you access to discounts of up to 84% off USPS and UPS rates, and you can manage every order from one simple-to-use dashboard. When you lower your shipping costs and make returns easier, customers stay happy whilst you save money. ShipStation. I love it. Love ShipStation. It's incredibly easy to use and makes it easy to run your business efficiently. What do we do with ShipStation, Jack? We sell things. We sell my merchandise and records and stuff like that.
Yep.
And we use ShipStation. And Jack bloody does it. He gets in the garage and he's ShipStation away. It's when he's happiest. ShipStation.
That's what I say.
Effortlessly integrates everywhere you sell online, including Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, and JimJefferies.com. Manage every order from one simple dashboard. Automate routine shipping tasks. Print shipping labels. Easily compare rates and delivery times to optimize every shipment. And automate delivery notifications. Plus, there's a 60-day free trial. 2 months to some people. 60-day free trial. Even if you don't have a business, sign up. Maybe it'll inspire you to start one. ShipStation hooks you up with industry-leading discounts so you'll never worry about paying for your shipping. Overpaying. You'll still have to pay for it, but you won't overpay. Over 130,000 companies have grown their e-commerce business with ShipStation, and 98% of companies that stick with ShipStation for a year become customers for life. Worry less about your bottom line when you save money with ShipStation. Go to ShipStation.com and use the code JIM today and sign up for your free 60-day trial. That's ShipStation.com, code JIM. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. You're thinking about starting therapy? Give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK today and get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/IDK. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Look, I like therapy. I've been quite open about mental health issues that I've had in the past, present, and future. I believe therapy's gotten me through a lot of hard times, and I'll tell you what, it's never made things worse.
That's a great point.
I've never gone to therapy and gone, sometimes I get out and I go, oh, I don't know if that helped or whatever, but my life's never been worse for it. So what do you got to lose? Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, but sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on a journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Unless North Korea, we don't know about North Korea. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time at no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK today to get a 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/IDK. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Look, I'm a big fan of therapy. I think it helps me out. From time to time in my life, I've had therapy, and then I think, oh, I'm okay now, and I stop taking it, and then I need it again. So if you were sick, what would you do? You'd go to a doctor. If you had a broken bone, you'd get it mended. If your brain's not quite right, I suggest going to therapy. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react a certain way until we talk it through things with a therapist. BetterHelp connects you with licensed therapists who can take you on a journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. As I said, I've benefited from therapy. I know Forrest has benefited, Kelly has benefited. If you want to be as mentally stable as the people in this podcast, I would suggest you go to therapy as well. If you're thinking of starting, give BetterHelp a try. Just fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with one of the licensed therapists. And switching therapist is, and you can switch therapists at any time, right? There's no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/IDK today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/IDK.
Okay, please welcome our guest, Kae Lani Palmisano.
G'day, Kae Lani. Now it's time to play.
Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes, no. Judging a book by its cover.
All right, what is...
I'm either really out of tune or really in tune then. I don't know, but in my head I sounded brilliant. All right, Kae Lani, I'm going to say it's got something to do with pop culture, because your background, you have bits and pieces, you have breakfast cereals, you have Godzillas, you have little TVs, you have Mario stuff. Is it about pop culture?
I mean...
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Is it Mario? Are we doing Mario?
No.
No?
Something you really like.
Oh, I would be Luigi. I've always been a Luigi man.
It's a pretty broad topic.
Oh, I like pretty broads.
That's what-
I'm like Sinatra from the 50s. Hey, some pretty broad just came in here.
This is arguably, as a broad topic, it's okay. I'll just tell you this: we're talking about the history of something, and the topic is arguably one of your favorite things. I think it would be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the Beatles?
Very broad.
More broad.
Comic books.
That's one of your favorite things.
No, I like comic books though.
No, but I think this was. I've had a discussion.
That encompasses superheroes and.
I think
fantasy.
you might like this better than sex. Not that sex is your favorite thing. Yeah.
Ooh, I like it better than sex. So
I think we've had discussions about it.
It's not my wife.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
It's one of your favorite things about traveling.
Oh, aeroplane food and all the jokes that it gives me.
That's it.
Favorite thing about traveling?
You don't like views, that's for sure.
Oh, I don't like a view.
You don't like views?
Nah.
Views are wasted on me.
Yeah. He only likes a view if it comes within. He only likes seeing a view if it comes within him, in front of him.
I like. Yeah, if
Views are wasted.
I like accidental views when I look out and go, "That's a nice sun.
Yeah.
That's a nice moon."
Yeah.
Like I can do that.
Don't take you to a
But
view.
if you give me a hotel room
Yeah.
and they go like this, they go, "Oh, the room with the view is being ready, so it'll be ready in an hour." I go, "Just give me the one that looks at the dumpsters in the alleyway." I would like to be in my room because I'm going to close the curtains anyway, and I'm not going to open them up till I leave.
Fair point.
I'm like Elvis, man. I'm like,
and
block
you're
all that
not like
shit
a
out.
post a picture on Instagram type of guy. Like, look at the sunset.
no.
So
All right, let's focus.
Okay.
So
So it's not views. I don't like views. Something to do with traveling.
when you travel, this is your favorite part of traveling, probably. Something that you're gonna do. We're gonna do it in Europe.
Sightseeing.
it does sound
don't like
weird
that
the way
either.
you're
Food.
Oh, food. I love food. Food. I didn't think food could be a topic. I thought food was individual
Well,
items.
where
do we go? When was food originated? Who was the first person to eat?
No, I said history, so it's gonna be fun food history. That is what I'm talking about.
I love food.
You like fun?
I like food. Food is
Fun's
now
wasted on
because
him.
now look. I used to like to eat when I was drunk, but now I like to eat when I'm high, and it's real. I don't even really enjoy being high. I just enjoy the food whilst high.
Yeah.
It's all part and parcel.
Okay, so Kae Lani Palmisano is the Emmy Award-winning host of WHYY's Check Please Philly, a television show that explores dining throughout the Philadelphia region. She is also the host and writer of PBS Foods Delistery. Delistery? Yeah, Delistery, like history.
Yeah, it's Delistery. You got it.
A digital series on the history of food. As a food and travel writer, Kae Lani enjoys following the journey food takes to get to the plate. Her work has appeared in USA Today, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Food and Wine, and more. You can find her on Instagram and Twitter at Kae Lani Says. That's Kaelani Says.
And TikTok as well, right? Because that's where I found you.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yep. Yeah. TikTok as well.
Same
It's
house.
gotta be
And that's
Kae
where
Lani
the-
Says on all the platforms.
That's where the Chinese government will find us if I'm led to believe anything.
How did you get to be into food? Just talking about food and the history of food. That's a weird question.
Have you always eaten?
How I always eat food. It's just when I started traveling and I was trying to find my niche as a travel writer and a travel storyteller, I really connected deeply with food, and food was a way for me to connect to other people, to have a deeper understanding of people's traditions and their histories. And every dish that you encounter always has a really interesting story about who made it, where it came from, and the people who carry on that tradition today.
Okay, the Food That Built America is the only program I pay for that's not on a streaming.
Yeah, I was going to say, you love a food documentary.
They only have it on Amazon, and then it eventually gets released to Hulu. But I pay the $24 to see it first. But it annoys me. I just watched a whole episode on Pop-Tarts. And Pop-Tart technology.
We don't have any questions on Pop-Tarts today.
Yeah, they were called country squares to begin with. And
Whoa.
then Kellogg's ripped them off and put holes in it so they wouldn't break apart. And the people at Post were making country squares. And they were late, but they invented the Pop-Tart, ripped off by Kellogg's.
Damn.
Kae Lani, I just watched. Do you watch Someone Feed Phil, the Phil Rosenthal show on Netflix.
Oh, that's a fantastic show. Yeah.
I love that show. Have you watched that?
I watched that one.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite shows
Just
ever,
because his eyes are so expressive when he eats. He's like, oh.
He's like a child.
Yeah.
It's like a child being given. It's like when I give my 1-year-old chocolate.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, why? I tried to feed my 1-year-old ice cream the other day, and he was looking on the spoon like, no. And I'm like, man, you got to put your tongue on it before you. Yeah, okay, you're missing out.
Well, he did an episode in Philadelphia, and I'm going to be there July 9th at the Punchline, everybody. If anyone's interested.
Oh, nice.
And there was a restaurant that they went to where they had the little bird dumplings and like curries and stuff. I can't remember the name.
Yes, Kalea.
Yeah. Is that as good as they say on there?
She just opened up her new location up in Fishtown, and it's even more outstanding. Yeah. She has done an incredible job bringing her specific traditional Thai cuisine to Philadelphia and maintaining that heritage and those stories. And Nok Santanaran is a wonderful person. She's a good friend of mine too.
What was her name again? Sorry.
Oh, her name is. She goes by Nok. I think her full name is Chutatip Santanaran.
So
I hope it's a tough name. I hope I'm doing her justice.
Her name's Nok, and she does bird dumplings up in Fishtown. This is a Dr. Zeus book, man.
They're bright blue with the butterfly PT.
That sounds like someone's making
They're very
things up.
beautiful, very ornate.
No, they look like birds, the dumplings. The way she makes them and pinches them, it looks like a little bird.
I'm not. Mott 32 is my best dumplings. That was the best ones I've had. I've got some opinions on Philly cheesesteaks that isn't a popular thing to say.
No. Have your opinions. They'll be wrong, but have them.
They're not better in Philadelphia. Philadelphia just has them, and the rest of the world can make them. It's a very simple recipe. Plus, they did not invent them, Philadelphia. Anyone who's had steak, cheese, and bread and onions and peppers in their house has accidentally made that recipe
What about the Cheese
all
Whiz?
by themselves. The Cheese Whiz is garbage. It's American shit. And then also for a cheesesteak, just putting a couple of slices of provolone, it gets lost in all the meat. You need like 4 times that much cheese. Cheese is in the title. I'm very passionate about this. I like Donkey's cheesesteaks. I think is a good one.
I love Donkeys as well. That's actually close to my place.
Yeah, Donkey's is all right. They use a Kaiser roll.
Yeah, people would argue that if it's not on the torpedo, it is not a traditional cheesesteak, but he really flips your expectations.
You know another place that does a wonderful cheesesteak? A little restaurant I call Jersey Mike's. And Jersey Mike's Philadelphia cheesesteaks are second to none. The chicken one, because they won't balk at you, Jersey Mike's, when you go put 4 times the amount of cheese on. They'll just go, we're Jersey Mike's. I
can't take them seriously because they call it subs, don't they? We're hoagies. This is hoagie country.
Hoagie Haven.
Hoagie Haven. I love Hoagie Haven.
All right, let's get to the questions.
I answered all of them.
No,
I think you got a 10 out of 10 already.
I'm going to ask Jim a series
I
of
know
questions.
everything about food, man.
Well, this is fun.
If I don't win this, confidence, give me 10 right away.
Fun food history.
Giving him a pre-10.
Write it down, Toots. That's how confident I am.
All right.
So confident he's misogynist.
I'm going to ask Jim a series of questions about fun food history. Food history, but fun food history. And then when he's done answering them, Kae Lani, you're going to grade them 0 through 10. 10 is the best, most accurate. Kelly's going to grade them in confidence. I'm going to grade them, etc. We're going to add them together. And do we make categories? Because I was too tired to make them. Dives, diners, drive-ins. Diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Wow, way to present him.
Dives, 0 through 10.
You're not supposed to read it out loud.
We haven't done a podcast together in 4 weeks. And this is
20 or 30 diners. Okay, you're a diner. What is the Swiss cheese mafia, Jim?
The Swiss cheese mafia?
Yeah. The way you said it was the Swiss cheese mafia.
The Swiss cheese mafia, they will be a group of people who they're a bit snobby about the fromage. And they get together and they try to keep the Swiss cheese in Switzerland.
Okay, and what about a cheese cartel? Do you know anything about the cheese cartel?
Are we doing all cheese?
No, we're going to switch.
I don't know about the cheese cartel.
We got another cheese question before we move on. How many pounds of cheese? How many pounds of cheese is the U.S. stockpiling?
For rations, in case China invades.
Why and how much are they stockpiling?
They're keeping it to stop the Chinese government, which incidentally have been spying with hot air balloons, so you know they're serious. They're using balloon technology. They're not fucking around.
Yeah, look out.
Right?
How many pounds of cheese are they stockpiling? The US?
Ah, many. I would say 4,000 pounds.
4,000.
No, more than that. 400,000 pounds.
That's a lot more. Yeah. The domestication of bananas brought what change that made bananas more appealing? It's a good pun.
Made them bendy.
They were straight before?
Yeah, they were straight before.
Okay.
They were straight. They were called sticks. And no, they probably changed the colour to make them a bit more yellow.
Okay.
The yellowification.
All coffee beans start out as what?
A small coffee sperm in their dad's sack. What are you talking about?
Well, before they're beans, there's something else. What do they start off as?
Coffee beans?
Yeah.
Oh, cocaine plants.
How many flavor compounds does coffee have?
This is like so broad. I thought you were going to say, what's the best restaurant? And I was going to argue with you.
No.
How many flavor compounds?
I think
do
some
know,
of- some of these you might know, some
through
of the-
watching.
I feel his confidence dropping by the second.
Through watching The Food That Built America, I did find out that when coffee is roasted, because they did the Starbucks Dunkin' Donuts thing, when coffee is roasted, it actually hits its premium flavour between 25 and 30 days after it's roasted. Any time before that or after that can get too bitter or what have you. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
What was the question?
It was how many flavor compounds does coffee
4.
have? 4. Okay. Maybe you know this one. What are Hydrox cookies? See, if you grew up in the United States, you'd know that.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't know about this?
Hydrox cookies.
Yeah.
Or I would say they have popping rocks in them.
Okay. What does celery have to do with the Titanic?
Confidence.
No, yeah. What does celery have to do with the Titanic?
Yeah.
Well, because the Titanic hit an iceberg, which also has very low calories. Celery, if you eat it, you burn off more calories than you are actually ingesting. Similar to that of ice.
That might have been one of your most creative answers ever. What is, quote, geographical indication as it relates to food?
Geographical indication
Yeah, as it relates to
is where something is grown and where it's manufactured. Hey, if it grows together, it goes together.
Got it.
So if you have something like you're eating pineapple, you're going to want to have some other tropical shit in there as well, like mango and stuff like that, because it grows together. It goes together.
Okay. Who was credited with inventing nachos, and what is the story behind the creation of nachos?
It would be a Mexican bloke, because they're Mexican food.
Maybe.
And I'm going to say, or it's going to be George Bell.
I don't know the
Taco
answer.
Bell owner.
I know what Hydrox is so far. That's it. Yeah.
What would have happened is, there would have been a guy who had corn chips, right? And then he had the dips. He had the queso, right?
Well, the next question. Okay, just tell me who it is, and then the next question you can ask. Do you have a name or no?
Jose Nacho.
And how did nachos become a popular food item in the United States and around the world?
Fat people.
Okay. What is a, quote, butt of wine? B-U-T-T.
A butt of wine.
Yeah.
That's the residue at the bottom of wine.
Okay. What was the connection between Hershey bars and the military?
That was back in the days you didn't like your military, I guess, because you would have given them Hershey bars as rations. And
You don't like the Hershey.
Hershey's is shit. In saying that, I have tickets to come and see me in Hershey, Pennsylvania. I'll be shitting on your product the whole time. I'll be up there talking to all you factory Hershey workers, and I'll be getting into you because you've sold your soul. Terrible chocolate.
Okay, so that's the connection. We don't like the military.
Yeah, well, no. Back in the day, they would have given it to the military in their rations bag, similar to how they gave them Spam or whatever. There would have been a block of Hershey's in there, and then they would have noticed that all the British and Australian troops were getting laid because they were giving women their Cadburys, and they were like, we give our soldiers Hershey's so they can focus on the war and not on sex.
Okay. How did lobster become popularized? Like as a food, obviously.
I know it was like a peasant food, and they used to give it to people in prison and stuff like that because they're bottom dwellers, that type of stuff. But I reckon lobster thermidor, lobster thing.
Some prison guard was like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, it used to be peasant food, but I think It would have been something to do up in Maine. There would have been someone in Nova Scotia. There would have been some Canadian. You ever been in Nova Scotia and all the Canadians just talk like they're Irish? Ridiculous place.
We've got some Canadian questions coming up.
Okay.
In what year did Canadian maple syrup? In what year did the Canadian maple syrup heist take place?
Oh,
The heist?
Yeah.
1927.
Okay.
1927.
Do you know anything about like how many barrels of maple syrup were stolen in the heist, and what was their estimated value?
There was a whole train load of them. There was barrels and barrels, probably 1,000 barrels, and they stole them. And a barrel of pure maple syrup. I bought a jar that was this big the other day.
Yeah.
$20 from the airport.
Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
rich.
So how much in value do you think?
I got maple syrup money to burn, man. I would say yes, mate. It was a $2 million heist.
And what unusual item did the thieves use to disguise their
In
stolen?
today's money.
Okay. And what unusual item did the thieves use to disguise their stolen barrels of maple syrup in an attempt to evade detection by authorities?
They put moose pelts over the top.
Okay.
Or they just wrote on the side of the barrel, Tim Hortons. And then they're like, oh, that's an important coffee thing you're doing there. Make sure that gets to its destination.
Okay. Here's a question I actually want to know the answer to because I did wonder about this. Maybe I thought my taste.
No one would know any of these questions.
Why do Brussels sprouts taste better today than they did before? Because I do agree with this. I didn't used to think Brussels sprouts are good, and now I think they.
I got my
they-
mouth washed out with soap when I
think-
was 5 for saying Brussels sprouts suck.
I think they used to taste a bit more bitter.
Yeah, that's
didn't
what I
they?
thought too.
Yeah.
A bit more bitter, and they've taken out the bitterness. Bitter extraction.
Bitter-free Brussels sprouts. All right, a few more questions here. There are 6 types of corn in the world. Which is the oldest?
Candy.
Okay. When did
No, I'll say maize.
maize? Okay, that might be a good answer.
seems
When did people start popping corn?
Oh, popcorn. I'll answer your question with a question. Do you know that the buffalo wing, do you know how you make that sauce?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, what is it? I just saw the documentary on
It's
the
butter.
in Frank's Red Hot. That's
Yeah,
all
Frank's
it
Red
is.
Hot, yeah.
And butter in Frank's Red
Yeah.
Hot. Huh. Who knew? That rips my ass to bits. But I've had Frank's Red Hot by
Lactose
itself.
intolerant.
I feel like the butter with the Frank that rips my asshole to shit. The fucking buffalo sauce.
When did people start popping corn?
1814.
And corn was domesticated from what?
What, an abusive relationship? What do you
Okay.
mean?
Like
Like-
it comes from something.
Oh,
Other
corn,
plant, I would say.
corn, maize.
Yeah. Okay, here's the last 2 questions. From what continent did the sweet potato originate? And when did it first arrive in Polynesia? Where did it originate from? Let's just answer that.
I'm going to say it's from okay, so that would have been yams, which is similar
Yeah.
to a thing.
So what continent?
I
Continent.
reckon-
There's only 7 of them. You know, it's not Antarctica.
Asia.
Asia. What was the most popular ice cream flavor in Philadelphia during the colonial era?
Vanilla.
Okay. All right, Kae Lani, how did Jim do on his knowledge on his fun fact food that we asked him?
I mean,
These are tough questions.
from a 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I get any right?
Don't worry, none of us would have gotten
I'll give
any
you,
of these
I'll
right.
give you like a 4 for content,
No, I didn't
but
get it.
bravado and 8.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, no, Kelly does confidence. You're not great at
Oh,
confidence.
sorry,
when I
sorry.
said confidence and I
I was
said
more your bravado with some of the questions actually made me
I just-
question my intelligence.
I just want to be very clear on something.
But
that
that's
when,
not your
when
category,
I
Kae
said,
Lani.
when I said confidence, and I said, "You understand that, Toots?" I was talking to Kelly, not you. I have a familiarity with Kelly to get away
Yeah,
with
he's
that
allowed
joke.
to degrade me. He would never do that to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's good to clarify that. No, Kelly grades on confidence. You're just accuracy, Kae Lani. Just accuracy.
Honestly, I don't think you got like anything fully correct. There were things that were like maybe partially. You threw in a coffee fact that actually wasn't a question, but is actually true. So you got that right.
That's his trick, by the way. He's always like, I know something here that you didn't ask.
I know a lot about food, man. If I tell you that restaurant's good, you go there. I'm telling you, I know shit. I got friends who know nothing. I got food friends. I trust Forrest for food.
Yeah.
Me and Forrest are husky men. we know about the food.
Okay.
When me and Forrest travel the world, we do some horrible things. There's restaurants and alleyways and stuff like that.
We had a full dumpling meal in the Malaysian airport. Because remember, there was a Din Tai Fung in the airport.
Yeah.
We just ate at 7:30 in the morning. We had a meal that you should have at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I was just the same thing.
It was good though.
Yeah, that's good. So -1 on accuracy, you're saying, Kae Lani? All right.
I'll give you like 2 points. I'll
2
give you
points.
two.
How are you doing on confidence? Toots?
Well, I gave him a pre-10,
Yeah.
but I'd have to switch confidence to about a 6, but give you a 10 on deflections. So
Thanks. The
Yeah.
deflections
Fine.
are pretty
I'm going to give you
Yeah.
10 on set or just hard questions. That way you're
They're
like,
very
No, very hard.
Diner.
Why would people know?
Diner,
these?
yay.
that's why we're going to learn about them. It's fun.
If you know, look, if it was on the food that built America, I know, man.
All right, here
I
we
know
go.
shit.
What is the Swiss cheese mafia? Is it a group of people who are a bit snobby about their fromage?
No, not necessarily. So the Schweizerkäse Union, also known as the Swiss Cheese Union, it started out with good intentions during World War I. The war really put a dent on Switzerland's cheese exports. So the union created ways to help stabilize cheese prices. And part of this was to streamline cheese production. So Switzerland had over 1,000 kinds of traditional cheeses. To streamline things, they told cheesemakers to make only 7. So after the war, they wanted to go back and make other varieties, but the union wouldn't approve anything. So they became kind of aggressive, and an approval from the union would make or break a cheesemaker. So not getting approval meant that it was going to be really hard to sell your cheese. But this caused a surplus of the cheese in Switzerland. So in the 30s, the Schweizerkäse Union started aggressively marketing fondue internationally as a traditional Swiss meal. And it wasn't actually really like a traditional meal. The recipe actually conveniently called for the Swiss cheeses that they just so happened to have a surplus of. And in this aggressive marketing and in a lot of other aggressive tactics from the Schweizerkäse Union, they got the nickname the Swiss Cheese Mafia, also known as the Swiss Cheese Cartel. But they positioned fondue so well that it became extremely popular. It actually became the national dish of Switzerland, even though at the time people weren't eating fondue. They were eating similar dishes, and they might only eat it once or twice a year.
Yeah, fondue's a funny one. Occasionally, I get sucked in and go to a fondue restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right.
Yeah, you smell
Do you
like
have a
oil.
favorite thing to dip into the cheese?
More cheese. I dip all the things, and then they do the dessert, which
Yeah.
is dipping strawberries into chocolate. You know.
Well, they have the meat. The one
I
I
like
like, they
the
have the oil
cheese.
too, and you cook the meat.
I like a cheese raclette. You ever do that? I got one of them at
I don't
home.
know what a raclette is.
is that the one with the cheese like heated and you?
Yeah. Put the cheese on a little plate, and you heat it up, and then it comes off in one thing. You just put it onto bread or something like that. Just different. And you put you buy a whole lot of different cheeses and melt them and slap it on things.
So I don't even like Swiss cheese.
I like Swiss cheese.
Okay.
Seems to be some holes in your story.
Is the cheese cartel that's the same as the Swiss?
Yeah,
cheese?
it's the same. Over the course of 85 years, the organization got really corrupt, and they were getting money not just from the government, but they were also getting money from cheese exporters, and it just became an organization that had tons of power and money, and they wielded it at cheesemakers, kind of unapologetically. And then by the 90s, after a lot of people were like, we want to make our other traditional cheeses, there was kind of not like an uprising against the Schweizerkäse Union, but they did dissolve in the 90s.
How would they stop you from making the cheese you want to make?
They wouldn't approve. They wouldn't get the seal of approval for sale. So like cheesemakers, you really wanted to have
most
that
of the drugs I like aren't
Schweizerkäse Union
FDA
label.
approved. You know what I mean?
Essentially, yeah. They were
I
kind of
see that
bullies
as a
about
benefit.
How many pounds of cheese is the U.S. stockpiling? Jim says 400K. And then why? Is it for rations in case China invades?
It is way more than 400K. I laughed at 4,000 when you originally said that, but our cheese stockpile is approaching 1.5 billion pounds and is worth $3.4 billion. So again, this is another World War cheese story where the government would actually send milk overseas to help feed the soldiers and stave off malnutrition. So to meet the demands of war, farmers pivoted. They ditched their other crops and they really focused heavily on beef and milk production. So after the war, there we go. We have a surplus. We have way too much milk. And instead of producing less milk, the government begins re-educating citizens of America to drink and eat more dairy. But there was still a surplus. So the government starts buying up the extra milk and they put it in school lunches. They give it to the military. They also send it overseas to aid other countries. But there was still a surplus. So by the 80s, Congress created a program called the Dairy Checkoff. And this was a fee that dairy farmers would pay into for the Got Milk ads, if you remember those.
Right.
It also pays for an organization called the Dairy Management Incorporation, which is a marketing group that's overseen by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And what this company does is that it develops recipes to get more dairy into restaurant partners like Pizza Hut, Starbucks, Taco Bell, just to name a few. That's why we have things like frappa, latte, chinos, and like cheese
crust
stuffed
pizza.
everything.
Yeah,
exactly.
So why does
Crazy.
cheese still cost money? It should be just given to us.
That's a good question.
There's loads of it.
Well, yeah, where is it
Is
all?
this
Where is it
American
all?
cheese? Is that yellow stuff?
It is actually stored in a government cave. And someone told me this recently. It's like somewhere in the Midwest.
Near Wisconsin, probably. That's where all the cheese is. The cheddar.
cheese
All the
would be
cheddar.
All those people in near
But
Indiana
it's just
or
like
something.
underground, like trucks drive into it. It's a really insane looking
I hope it's
facility.
clean.
And how
Just
does
sitting
why
in
doesn't the
dirt.
cheese go off?
Oh.
Is it
Where does
refrigerated?
what now?
Why
Why-
doesn't cheese go stale? If I leave it in my fridge for too long, I get a bit of mold.
Actually, if you have a wheel of cheese
Oh, yeah, the
that is
wheels, yeah.
completely sealed and kept at the right temperatures, it can last, I think it's like 10 to 20 years. I have to check that fact, but it can last a really long
But
time.
I feel like we'd have a bit of cheese. Like, do they rotate the stockpile? Because I feel like there'd be some stuff right in that
Oh
corner.
yeah, there's some cheese that goes out, but there's more that, as the milk, when all that milk doesn't get bought up, it gets turned into cheese, and the cheese is what's stored in the cheese case.
Yeah, that is I remember now that everything you were saying about milk just makes me think about how much they pushed milk on you as a kid. Like you had milk with your school lunch. There was like, you got to drink milk
You
if you
have
get
to if you want to be tall and strong. Like,
Even cats,
Yeah.
they say cats aren't supposed to drink milk.
yeah.
But every image you see of a cat is drinking. It's like bad for them to drink milk. Like they're lactose intolerant. I'm pretty sure they're. But all right, the domestication of bananas brought what change that made bananas more appealing? Jim said change them to make them more yellow.
Wild bananas, if you've ever seen them, they're chocked full of seeds, and like gigantic ones. Like if you're the kind of person that has that trypophobia, the fear of patterns of holes, like a wild
My wife
banana
has
might
that.
trip
Yeah.
that off.
My wife has that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at a picture. It did not look appealing at all.
Well,
Really?
you got to get rid of seeds. It's like I used to eat watermelon with seeds in it, and then they genetically engineered them out, and I can't go back. And someone bought
Yeah.
me a fucking watermelon with seeds, and I felt like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like we fixed this.
Would you like
Jim-
to share your banana?
Jim hates
opinion?
bananas. by
I
the
don't
way.
like bananas. No, I don't like bananas.
Yeah, is it bothering you just talking about them?
No, I've gotten a lot better since I have children who eat bananas, so I have to have them in the house. But I kept myself locked away.
I think about how you say it because the peel is very arrogant. That's what
Yeah,
you
the
say.
peel,
That's what
the peel's an arrogant. It's the
Anytime
most
I peel a
arrogant-
banana, I look at it and I just think, oh, this is arrogant, this peel.
It's always dumped and it's flopping around.
Makes no sense.
I'll tell you a non-arrogant peel. Cuties, little mandarin.
Not
Lovely.
arrogant.
You just put that in you put the center console of your car. No problem.
What?
Yeah, because you can peel it off in
The
one
orange,
piece.
Peel
little
it.
orange.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
Why leave it in the middle of your
You
car?
don't
you've
leave
seen
it.
his
but
car.
why?
That's because
I
that's
know.
the spot for
I
the
know.
peels, Jack. What are you
Why
talking
are you
about?
driving? You can put it in there. It's no hassle. You throw a banana in there, that would fucking
Yeah, gunk
it would
up.
slime onto your
Yeah,
bloody
you're
gear
right.
stick.
All coffee beans start out as what? I don't think it's small coffee sperm in their dad's sack, but maybe.
All coffee beans start off as coffee beans.
Think about a coffee plant. If you've ever seen like those photos at coffee shops of the coffee fields, what's growing? They're berries. They're not like they're fruit, but I think it's called like a coffee cherry specifically.
Oh, they have a little
It's like
bit of
they're
stuff
like little
around. Oh,
cherries.
okay. So a fruit. Yeah, I know that. I know that the
Oh, and
bean
it's
is in the middle.
But the bean is the seed?
Yeah.
Yeah, the bean's the seed.
I don't know. I don't
Whoa.
drink
I didn't
coffee.
know
Yeah, I know they're like little red type of deep burgundy sort of looking things.
There you go. And then you roast them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You'd be like, look at you fruit.
All right.
Roasting them.
How many? Oh, I get it. Yeah. I was like, what? Roasting the roast. How many flavor compounds does coffee have? I don't even know what that means. Jim said 4.
So flavor compounds are the molecular compounds that are expressed through triggering our olfactory and taste sensations. So to give you that definition, coffee has 850 flavor compounds, making it a more complex drink than wine.
Wow. I didn't think.
Wow.
I just had a friend here from another country, and they said every coffee that they drank was terrible. Here.
She's Australian.
Yeah.
Okay, so Australians are very proud of their coffee.
Yeah.
And my wife, who's a big coffee person, she like. Okay, so people don't like American coffee when they come over here.
Yeah.
It's like Starbucks tried to infiltrate Australia, and we sent them packing.
You don't like our chocolate. You don't like our coffee. What do we have that's good?
And the bread.
Yeah,
no good
You
bread.
don't like anything we do.
In-N-Out Burger is very good.
Freedom.
And I'll tell you, best lobster in the world. Your watermelon's elite. Well done.
All right.
But so is the coffee worse in the United States, or is that just, I don't know. What do you think, Kae Lani? Are you a coffee person?
Goodness. I mean, I do appreciate Australia's penchant for the amount of coffee beverages. I'm particular to a flat white.
Yeah.
But I think it's it all depends. And this is what Jim was saying, that if you have a freshly roasted coffee, you have more of a chance of tasting more of those flavor notes. You likely wouldn't even have to add sugar or milk to it to help with the bitterness, because as coffee gets stale, it becomes more bitter, and that's why people like adding sugar and cream to their coffees. And I don't know, I feel like if you can track down a good coffee roaster, like if you have a really good coffee shop that roasts their own beans, I think that's a better experience than other places. But I don't know, sometimes I have a penchant for just straight up diner coffee. Like I want it sitting on the burner for a few hours, like out of a
I
thick
feel
white
like
mug.
that's something that's gone the way of the dodo. So every movie they always have that jug. They just sort of, hey, I'll top up your coffee.
Yeah, they have that in
way.
diners.
Yeah, but I feel like not as much now. I feel like they make
You don't go to a lot of diners. They still have it.
I don't know.
The other day I was at a diner with our friend Orlando and his wife, and I was having an omelet, and I had a little bit of coffee to wake up, and she just came by, poured it without me asking, and then got coffee on my omelet too, and then just kept walking. I was like,
Yeah, but
all
what if that all food's made by accident, right? What if you go, oh, the coffee omelet?
It was not good. I had a coffee flavored mushroom.
I had a big
They make
fight.
mushroom coffee.
I had not a big fight, but I had an argument with Andrew Maxwell, who I was just gigging with in the UK, a friend of mine, Irish comedian. And they have in Northern Ireland, they have potato crisps, chips, right? What do you call them?
French fries?
No, crisps.
Chips.
chips. Yeah.
So they have two companies called Tatoes.
Oh, yeah, potatoes.
That's the Irish company. Tatoes. One's from Northern Ireland, right, called Tatoes.
Yeah.
And one's from Southern Ireland, like Island. And also called Tatoes, but they both have a mascot called Mr. Tato.
Oh, they're different? They're different companies?
Google the two Mr. Tatoes, and they're like...
This is what the war's about between Northern Ireland and Ireland?
Andrew Maxwell was just like, don't you be eating Northern Tatoes. Northern Tatoes aren't good. You try a Southern Tato. And then he went, the potato chip was invented here in Ireland. No, it wasn't. It was a guy, it was a chef. I saw it on the food they made. And kept someone wanting crisper. And then he sort of...
He was doing it because he wanted to be annoying, right?
Yeah, he's doing it to be annoying. Yeah. But the two Mr. Tatoes, if you don't think these two... So one's Northern and one's... Okay, so that's the one there, the red packet, that's the Southern Tatoes. Yeah. Right? The mascot, the only difference is he has a different hat. One has a black hat, one's smiley.
From this angle, I thought that was his arm.
That's a Belfast Tato. Belfast. Yeah, no wonder they can't get along, these people. Yeah. They can't get their Tatoes right. These people.
You familiar with Tatoes, Kae Lani?
I know some potato history. I know that's one of the questions later on.
What's your favorite crisp?
Or not Tatoes, the brand.
What's your favorite brand of crisps?
Ooh, I'm partial to Ruffles.
I don't mind me a ruffle. Yeah, a ruffle.
With the ridges?
Yeah, the ruffles.
There's something, it collects all of the flavor. I like the cheddar ones or sometimes the sour cream and onion ones, but it's something about the ridges that it's a great texture. They're not too greasy, and all the flavor dust gets caught up in those peaks.
You can scoop.
They're strong enough you can dip.
I like Smith's from Australia, a very good brand of crisps. But here's the thing, when you move countries, that was the thing that was most jarring. When I moved from Australia to England, the biggest cultural shock I had was that they changed, the colour doesn't match up with the crisp that you're eating. Right? So I grew up my whole life with salt and vinegar were a purple bag.
It's blue here.
Blue.
Yeah.
Blue. Oh, fuck me. It's like your brain's confused, doesn't know what you're eating. Because blue is meant to be cheese and onion, right?
We don't have...
And then green...
That sounds weird. Sour cream and onion.
Yeah. Then green is chicken.
Chicken?
Yeah, chicken's very popular. Chicken's a very popular flavour in Australia for everything. I remember Forrest is a big fan of the chicken salt.
I put it on my popcorn at home.
Yeah, chicken salts it up.
I remember Conan had a bit on his show about potatoes.
Oh, yeah, potatoes. We're not going to play Conan's bit, are we?
I could.
Is it long?
No. I think it's short. Oh, it disconnected. Oh, all right, that was fun. We'll do it later.
What?
Hey, while we're here, has anyone seen the Irish Prime Minister? He used to be like homeless, right? Google the Irish Prime Minister. I was watching Ireland playing Scotland in the rugby, and it was played in Dublin, and the Irish Prime Minister came out. They've got a Danny DeVito cunt there who's just, if you wanted to do a cartoon of an Irish fella, this is your guy.
This guy?
No, little short fella.
In the meantime, what are Hydrox cookies? Jim said they have Pop Rocks in them. Tell them what Hydrox cookies are, Caitlin.
Hydrox are the original Oreos. Hydrox cookies were the original chocolate sandwich cookie that came out in 1908. Oreos are actually the imitation of Hydrox cookies, which were introduced in 1912.
So is it like the Pop-Tarts thing he was just saying? Like Hydrox came out first and then Oreo took over?
Yeah, essentially. It was a 40-year battle, and it wasn't until Oreo rebranded in the 1950s when their popularity surpassed the Hydrox cookie. Or it also could be the unfortunate name of combining hydrogen and oxygen to create the name Hydrox. But that was supposed to be kind of like a purity of product.
I've always thought that the Oreo is an overrated product unless it's crushed up into ice cream. Then wonderful. It's the best cookie to crush up into things. Terrible cookie just to sit and eat. Just
you don't know how wrong you are.
Depressing.
Yeah, you gotta dip it in milk.
Sog it up in milk.
It doesn't sog up enough.
Oh, it does.
You gotta leave it in there.
You're not being patient enough.
Please.
The Hydrox cookies still exist, don't they? Or they did when I was a kid, or are they gone?
Hydrox was the brand was bought. And now it's being redistributed.
I got it. Okay.
Like, I'm not patriotic. I don't eat Tim Tams. I'm not patriotic about Australian biscuits.
People love Tim Tams here.
They're all right. They're all right.
What?
They're the most overrated Australian biscuit. There's people rave on about them, but you never want to sit there and eat a packet of them.
Biscuits.
I have.
You want a soft cookie.
What?
Mrs. Fields. I'll tell you what. She's the best looking entrepreneur ever lived, Mrs. Fields. I learnt that about the food at Built America. Nothing wrong with Mrs. Fields. You think she's going to be a homely sort of lady? Mm-hmm. No, she's bloody good sort, Mrs. Fields.
What does celery have to do with the Titanic? Jim had a great answer about the Titanic being low in calories. So on.
Yeah, tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Delightfully wrong. So at the time, celery was considered a very posh ingredient. It was something that was really reserved for the wealthy. In fact, they would make celery vases specifically for stalks of celery so that people could put it on display and have plumes of greenery everywhere. But on the night the Titanic sank, the first-class passengers were served a 10-course meal where a couple of the dishes actually featured celery, one of which was a pâté de foie gras.
I reckon Rose, when she was being painted naked with the big diamond around it, she should have had a stick of celery just to really rub it in. Because she was posh, you see. He'd already given her the Monets And he gave her the diamond, and she's eating my celery. Because you know how I feel about the character.
Yeah. We've gone on about Titanic.
He's the hero of the piece.
Yeah, Billy Zane.
Billy Zane, he did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. You give a woman $1 billion diamond, take her on a cruise, and she's shagging someone from economy on day 2, you'd be angry as well.
And now celery is worth nothing. So.
No, it's still, you go to the shops, they sell it.
I know, but it's like it's like a garnish.
It's a very
almost.
discarded vegetable.
You got to eat it.
I love celery.
You got to have it with your buffalo wings.
I like celery. I enjoy it. But.
Ants on a log?
I've never seen you walking down the street munching on a stick of celery.
With wings. I've eaten with wings, just like you said.
I've seen you do that. But they're more blue cheese than they are celery.
Well, that's what you do.
They're just a blue cheese distributor. That's all they are.
I like how you're talking about me like you eat with a fork and knife. And you have a
The reason he's never gotten an Oreo soggy is because he inhales his food.
I eat them by the sleeve.
What is a, quote, geographical indication as it relates to food? Jim's, what do you say? If it's grown together, it goes together.
If it grows together, it goes together.
Yeah.
It does depend on where it's grown or where it's cultivated. So a geographical indication is a legal classification given to foods that have become synonymous with the name of a place. So this is the classic, well, you can't call it champagne unless it comes from the Champagne region of France
tequila?
argument. Although there are a few exceptions to that rule, but this also includes things like Kobe beef, Gouda cheese, Parmigiano Reggiano, Kalamata olives. There's like thousands of them in the world. But geographical indications, they're just a legal marketing tool. It basically says that you can't sell bubbly wine and call it champagne unless it actually comes from this region. But there's places in the world that recognize them and then other places that don't. The United States actually does not recognize a lot of these geographical indications.
Tequila we do, though. I drink a lot of tequila.
Yeah, tequila we do. Yeah, tequila we do. Champagne, technically, we do a lot of the wines. But when it comes to the meats and cheeses, we do not.
No, you Kobe up here all the time.
Yeah.
Everything's Wagyu, something or other. And I'm like, I don't feel like this is.
And it's not true.
Yeah,
if it's labeled Kobe beef here in the United States, it's likely American-style Kobe beef. Because Wagyu is the breed of cow. Kobe indicates that it's made in the Hyogo prefecture of Japan, with the capital city being Kobe. So, we do have Wagyu, the breed of cow here, but it's not going through the same regulations and up to code as the Japanese Wagyu and Kobe.
You ever have when you're in Australia, did you ever have yourself a Moreton Bay bug?
No, I can't say that I have. And also, I've never been to Australia. I went to New
then how did you know
Zealand,
about
different.
You had a flat white in New Zealand.
Very similar coffee culture that's happening.
No, it's not
there.
the same bloody going over New Zealand.
But there is
the poutine in America.
There is an Australian cafe in Philadelphia where
they serve a bit of Milo. Yeah, the Vegemite on toast.
A Moreton Bay bug is similar. It's like a shellfish, not a lobster because it burrows.
It's like lobster cut with crab,
but it doesn't. Yeah, it's a little bit different looking. It's like a flatter animal.
Yeah, its whole body's a tail.
Yeah.
What is it called again?
A Moreton Bay bug. Morton, Morton, Bay, B-A-Y.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a birdie beetle.
No, birdie beetles are chocolate. It's terrible.
That's like a prehistoric looking nasty.
Yeah.
It does. It just looks like a flattened lobster.
Yeah, but then you just cut it in half.
It's good. I've had it.
Oh, they're good.
They're
good.
My top not 10, as good as lobster, but it's good.
One of my top 10 meals of my life was a Penang curry with Balmain bugs in Sydney in a Thai place. Oh, I think about it. Sometimes to help me
Thinking about it right now.
Well, hopefully when I end up in Australia, because I would love to visit someday, I'll definitely try a Moreton Bay bug.
Yeah, Moreton Bay bugs. I had them at Christmas. I ordered them in. People were happy. No one was disappointed. They also call them Balmain bugs, but Moreton Bay is the more popular name.
Who is credited with inventing nachos, and what is the story behind the creation of the popular snack? Is it Jose Nacho? And let's tell us about nachos. How they became popular.
Jose Nacho. Yeah.
You weren't wrong in the sense that it is named after a person, but that person's name is Ignacio Anya, and Ignacio with the nickname being Nacho. But nachos were invented in 1943 So this is also some more World War II food history. There was a guy named Ignacio Aña, and he was the maitre d' of a place called the Victory Club in Piedra Negras, Mexico. And this place was right on the border, about 4 miles away from an American Army base that was in a place called Eagle Pass, Texas. So the Victory Club, really popular among the Army wives. They would hang out there. And one night, a group of women, they go in and they want something to eat, but the chef had just stepped out, so Ignacio didn't want them to be hungry. So he ran into the kitchen. He grabbed some tortilla chips, some cheese, some jalapenos. He threw it into the broiler and served the first plate of nachos.
Yeah, nacho. I like a nacho that's proper oven cooked, where you put the stuff and you put it in the oven on like a glass plate or something like that, right? You bring it. This American sort of like you're at the baseball and they just give you some melted cheese and some chips. Not nachos. That's cheese and dip, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you go and there'll just be a pile of nachos, and it's fine if it's piled, but it's like evenly distributed. Sometimes just a lot of chips and stuff piled on top. Or you go to a place that individually does a nacho, like each chip will have like a little bit of bean, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of sour cream.
It's fancy.
That's good stuff.
It's all about distribution. I like it layered like a lasagna, where it's like chips, cheese, chips.
You want to get in there, they
cheese.
have the nucleus in the middle where you have to really pull it out and all that. Yeah, it's the body of
where the chip is just soggy and it's like bending under the weight of the beans.
I don't understand why it's a shareable meal. There's so many fingers in there and stuff like that. It's like it shouldn't just be put as a plate like, hey, we can all enjoy these.
Yeah, because someone's doing like that, then they take the other hand and move
lick
it.
their fingers.
But they're also looking around like,
there's
I'm going to
more,
get that side.
there's
It's like
more,
reverse Jenga.
There's more COVID in nachos than refried beans. I always think that all foods are an accident. Like, I reckon Pokey was just a really shit sushi chef who just had to go. And then he's just like, Pokey! I like me some pokey, but don't act like, that wasn't a bloke who was just like, oh, fuck, I didn't cut this thin enough.
Yeah.
Put it in a bowl.
Put it in a bowl.
It's like scrambled eggs.
Yeah, sushi bowl. That's all it is, pokey.
What is a butt of wine? Is it the residue on the bottom of the wine?
No, it is a unit of measurement. It is 126 gallons of wine, which was roughly 2 standard barrels. Which
they used to call it a Kardashian of wine. Because it was a big...
See what
I mean? Big asses, big butts.
But why is it that exact
Trying
amount?
to do comedy here.
No, I got it. I'm asleep today. I just flew in.
Yeah, but I thought Jack would have laughed.
I did.
What, and why was it that amount? The butt? Why did they come up with that number? Do you know?
I think that, like anything else in the imperial measurement is just like a random thing, and that just became the standard. I mean, it's. I think it has to do like it's barrel sizes, but I think this was a buttload was considered too standard.
Oh, so we still say that now. We go, it's a buttload or something.
Yeah, buttload.
Wow.
I love that.
That is a lot. It is a lot of buttload.
Yeah.
What was the connection between Hershey bars and the military? Why Hershey? Jim says we don't like the military. Put in the ration.
I like the military. I'm just saying that.
No, but at the time, that's what he doesn't think Hershey's good chocolate. So, but what?
Hershey's dog shit. You're a foodie.
Well, then
You must be able to say that.
if you don't like Hershey's, then you'll love you're not that it's not that they didn't like the military, but Hershey was commissioned to develop a rations chocolate bar that could withstand poisonous gas, extreme temperatures, and dysentery.
Oh no! Hershey is the cockroach of chocolate. It'll be there after any nuclear apocalypse. Like it lives. Like you get that for Halloween, you can throw it out next Halloween. No one gives a shit.
Maybe so. That's maybe why. Is that Jim doesn't like the taste? Is that why?
You can eat Hershey's, shit Hershey's, and repackage it and taste the same.
The first rations bars, I think they were like the D rations. That was the first one that Hershey made. Soldiers complained that it did actually give them gastrointestinal
Of course it did.
and a lot of them didn't want to eat it.
Yeah,
Wow.
Hershey Kisses.
But they were different. There were different kinds of rations bars made throughout the war, and for different theaters, to borrow from war speak. So the Pacific Theater got this thing called the Tropical Bar as part of their K rations, and this was a chocolate bar that just like did not melt. It just could withstand the heat and humidity of the Pacific Theater, and also was the only thing. And so this is the difference between the tropical bar and the D ration. Was like the tropical bar, that was the only thing that soldiers could eat if they got dysentery. That was like the one thing that worked.
What's your favorite mainstream brand of chocolate?
Oh, we have a great company out in Pennsylvania, not Hershey, called Wilbur. And believe it or not, Hershey actually stole the Hershey Kiss concept from the Wilbur chocolate company.
But I think the Kisses are called that because the machine goes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Makes the little doo-doos, yeah.
Wilbur, gotta try that one.
No, it's Cadbury's.
We got some Tonys here.
The answer is Cadbury's.
Yeah.
What do you use on s'mores, Jim?
Cadbury's. Cadbury's is the best chocolate that's ever been made. It's, although me and the wife had a bit of a thing, right? So the wife is very into British chocolate. I think British and Australian chocolate's on par with each other, but she thinks British chocolate is substantially better. I bought back some when I was in. I went out to Australia for one gig in the middle of my tour, and I bought back some Australian Maltesers, and then I had a bowl of British Maltesers.
Yeah. And blind taste test.
I let my wife taste the two of them, and she did be able to pick the British one.
She did.
But she went too far. She went, that's not even a Malteser. That flavour isn't right. It's like, they were very fucking close.
Yeah.
She liked to say it's not even a Malteser.
Now you know how I feel.
And I go, what about when you're in Australia? She goes, I'd eat them if I had to. No one's making
Damn.
How did lobster become popular? As Jim said, it used to be a peasant food. I don't know. You got a point somewhere. Is this it?
Yeah, you were right. Lobster was considered a peasant food. Whether or not it was served to prisoners is more apocryphal, but we do know.
Whoa, slow down. That's a whole episode, that word.
Archaeopteryx.
I don't know about that. Say that word again.
Apocryphal, as in it's kind of this.
Hold on. Before we carry on, let's see if the other ones who are mocking me.
I'm not mocking you.
I don't know what it means, but based on the sentence she does, I think it's like a mythology, maybe.
Yeah, she just said the word mythology. It's like when I play quizzes with my dad. He always answers right after.
That's what that.
Okay, Second World War.
I don't know what it means.
That's what I thought she meant when she used it in the sentence.
Okay, so what does the word mean?
Okay, so it's when a story has been told so many times, it just becomes truth in a way. I mean, there's not really any reports, like specific things that we can point to say, it's not like they're giving out menus in prisons in the 1800s. So we don't necessarily know if they specifically did, but it was prolific in New England. It was super abundant. It was very cheap and a high source of protein, so they were like, it was likely fed to prisoners.
Who tastes lobster and goes, oh, this is for peasants? Like, it's good. You don't have to do much to it. You just got to cook it and eat it.
Maybe it got overcooked.
But see, they didn't know how to cook it and eat it when colonists first arrived.
Yeah.
A lot it was so prolific. Lobsters were so prolific in New England that there'd be a storm out at sea and they would just wash up on the shores. And so the Algonquin speaking tribes, a lot of the tribes that were indigenous to areas of New England, they knew exactly what to do. They would go out to the shores, they would pick them up before they died and then go cook them. And a lot of things too, you got to think about some of the racism that was happening. They probably saw indigenous people eating lobsters and they were like, oh, we don't want to eat what they're eating, even though indigenous people taught colonists how to eat in the Americas. But colonists had no idea what to do, so they wouldn't collect the lobsters from the shores. They would die and it would stink up the shores. Yeah. Also, lobsters need to be boiled alive. It reduces the risk of food poisoning, and colonists didn't know this, so they weren't having a good time with it.
Oh, yeah. And they would have had that New England old school accent as well, that Kennedy one. That accent's dead now. Here they are, they're lobster, that one, oh, there's lobster up on the water, there they are. Like that one.
I bet it was.
I can't do it, but you know the one I'm talking about.
No, I know, it sounds right.
I bet
the Mayor Quimby.
Yeah.
I bet it was a lot about the preparation, too, like you said, because that if it's not cooked right away, in what year, the Canadian maple syrup heist, let's talk about this. Was it in 1927? 1,000 barrels, $2 million of money. Let's talk about that.
What was it? Are we talking about the year it happened?
Yeah, when did it take place? How many barrels did they say? We can do all these questions here. Yep.
So it was July 2012. Oh. So not quite. Recent. What was it? You said
1800s? 1927.
1927. It wasn't quite. It was
12. Let's see,
more
my
modern
son was
than that.
born.
Yeah.
How did we not hear about this? Yeah. I didn't hear about it.
Yeah. It was big news in Canada.
It was huge news. It was. They stole nearly 3,000 tons of syrup that was valued around 18.7 million Canadian dollars.
Oh, they were just.
And then what did they sell at the back of trucks?
They're in their truck listening to the Tragically Hip, throwing out barrels of maple syrup.
They were actually trafficking small batches across Quebec and as far as Vermont and New Hampshire.
And who was buying them, though?
I guess other people that didn't realize that the maple syrup had been stolen.
Yeah, like, hey.
I always hate whenever you see, like on the news, they go, at the airport, we've found 74 kilos of cocaine. And then they go, with a street value of, and they give this number, and you're like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
I know how much cocaine costs a gram. Don't start selling it for $300 a gram, going a street value of. They always inflate that price so much higher. Because like you're saying, how much money in maple syrup did we lose there?
It was 18.7 million Canadian dollars.
On the black market, they're only getting about $1 million back for that. It's mostly barrel money.
I used to do a joke about the street value, and it was like, well, what other value would there be for cocaine? Retail value or something like that? It's not like Kmart. I can get this stuff for like on the street. Oh, that's a whole nother. So yeah,
this is a huge economic impact for Quebec because I think it's like 80% of the world's maple syrup comes from Quebec. It is a huge export for Canada and a huge export for that state. So this was an economic blow.
So how did they do it?
Well, how'd they disguise the barrels?
So it definitely had to be an inside job. It clearly was. Like 17 people were actually arrested in association with this crime. What it was like they don't check the facility where all of this maple syrup was stolen from. At the time, they didn't check it like. They only checked it once a year. So someone knew that when the window of opportunity that they had to steal all of this. And so over the course of several months, they siphoned maple syrup from the barrels and replaced it with water.
They Shawshanked it.
That's like what I did in high school with the liquor cabinet.
Yeah, why don't they replace it with that shitty syrup you get at like IHOP?
Yeah, make it syrup. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just the blueberries, like
cutting your profits.
Yeah. I bet you they cut it with that IHOP shit when they started selling it.
Yeah, it's like rubbing on the gums.
It was good stuff. Yeah. My cousin died from diabetes, so be careful.
Why do Brussels sprouts taste better today than they did before? Is the bitterness been extracted, modified?
Well, Brussels sprouts in conventional farming days used to taste great, but when farming became more industrialized, they needed to create a Brussels sprout crop that could grow uniformly and mature at the same time so that they could harvest it all at the same time with these machines. And that was in the 60s. So scientists developed a kind of Brussels sprout that could handle mass production. But the result was a very nasty, funky tasting Brussels sprout that turned people off of the vegetable for generations. And due to the bad branding during the 90s, Brussels sprout producers were really desperate for a solution. So scientists, they went back to the drawing board, and in 1999, they figured out that there were 2 compounds that were making Brussels sprouts gross. And so through crossbreeding with other heritage, through crossbreeding heritage Brussels sprouts with the ones that were meant for mass production, they were actually able to create a modern Brussels sprout, the ones that we have today, that are tasty, but can also, grow uniformly and they mature at the same time.
Yeah, because I like them better now.
What other vegetable could do with a revamp? It's not pulling its weight. I get rid of kale. Kale's doing my head in. Kale came in.
I like kale, but there's different kinds of kale. I tell you which one I used to like, and now I don't. Broccoli, it's I don't know. If you cook it wrong, you burp too much. They got to get rid of the burping.
I don't like I don't mind broccoli if it's a bit charred, like it's got a bit of burn to it. I like broccoli rabe more than
But if you burp broccoli, you're done. So you gotta
Arugula
get
could be better.
Oh, I like arugula.
I think it tastes like dirt.
Yeah, there's nothing to it.
Okay, revamp arugula.
But what do they call it in Britain?
I don't know.
Rocket.
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 And Australia.
Because it looks like a rocket, man.
It doesn't, but okay. You've told I only knew this from Australia. There are 6 types of corn in the world. Which is the oldest? Jim said maize.
Yeah, I can't digest any of them. I'll know that
So
much.
there are 6 types. It's dent, flint, flour, pod corn, popcorn, and sweet corn. And popcorn is the one that is the oldest.
I once had 4 of those 6 in one shit. Come through.
Popcorn. You should have a podcast about popcorn called Podcorn. Yeah, edit that out, please. Okay. Popcorn. So popcorn's a type of corn. So when do people start popping corn? I thought it was just. I didn't know there was an actual type of corn you pop.
Yeah, it's an actual corn variety. But fossil evidence indicates that in Peru, people have been popping corn since 4,700 BCE.
Yeah. What
I thought it
movies
was
did they
named
watch?
after the band Korn.
Yeah.
What does it mean when Jimmy cracked corn? What does that mean?
I think it might be racist.
Oh.
Well, it's something you sing if you're a hobo on a train.
Yeah, exactly.
Jimmy crack corn, I don't care.
Is it popping? What's he doing with that corn?
I don't know. It's crack corn.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good question.
Right.
Another podcast.
Edit that out too. All right, from which?
It's all gonna go.
And corn was domesticated from what? Was it also maize?
It is a type of grass called teosinte.
Oh, okay.
Does it grow everywhere, the popcorn?
Grow everywhere. Oh, I'm not sure if it, like, I'm sure farmers can grow it if they feel like it. I mean, corn is a pretty prolific plant that can grow in a lot of regions.
I got a dinner party fact of food. I've already done this one. I do this one all the time. Okay, so I have to ask you. Okay, what's the only food that's in every cuisine in the world?
Is it corn?
No, it's
Onions?
not corn. Onions.
Ah.
Onions are in every cuisine. They can grow fucking everywhere. You have them on top of sushi. There's spring onions, regular onions. They're in every cuisine. The Indians use them.
Yeah.
Every culture bashes out the onion.
Yeah.
Love,
Love
the onion.
that.
Onions are great. Yeah.
From which continent did sweet potatoes originate, and when did they first arrive in Polynesia? I don't know. I'm not sure about the Polynesia, but he said Asia. So
Well, no. Sweet potatoes originally come from Central and South America, and some archaeologists believe that they arrived in Polynesia around 1000 CE, so the Common Era. And this challenges a lot of
The common
conventional.
era. Fucking hell, I don't
Yeah,
know nothing.
so that's what people are trying to say instead of BC and AD, so it's before Christ and then Anno Domini. So this kind of it becomes a little bit more
I like to
inclusive.
remember Christ's death.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
So AD is now BCE, which is before Common Era, and then AD is now CE, Common Era. That's what we're in.
Bloody political correctness gone mad. They've cancelled after death and before Christ.
I thought it was like Anno something. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question here. What,
I used to go pre-Buddha, after Buddha.
that's way back.
Yeah. That's the calendar I follow.
What was the most popular ice cream flavor in Philadelphia during the colonial era? Was it vanilla?
No, not quite. It was oyster flavored ice cream.
Yeah, this stupid. What town's this?
In Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Oyster.
bloody silly people. Silly people. That's why you lost the World Series. You can't be bloody oi. Yeah, and the Super Bowl with your oyster bloody
and
ice
the
cream.
MLS.
Yeah. You're not
lost
going to
them
win
all.
anything with your bloody oyster ice cream.
Have you had oyster ice cream, Kae Lani?
I have not. There is a
it melts and they just call it clam chowder.
There's a historic ice cream place that makes it every now and again, but I haven't got a chance to try it.
There's
I'm not a
chunks
big
of oyster in it?
person, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting. I like beer ice cream doesn't sound good.
Dad,
but then
it's a hot day. Can I have an ice cream? I'm sorry to tell you, son, they're all out of oyster. I'll pass then. If I can't have oyster,
Give me some sea urchin.
yeah. And put some coffee bean specks on top of it because I'm a kid and I enjoy my food.
Okay.
Roll it in asbestos.
This is part of our show called Dinner Party Facts. We ask our expert to give us a fact, something obscure, interesting they can use to impress people about the subject.
Kelly's got something she's pointing
Yeah.
with
So
both
really
fingers.
quickly, Kae Lani, this is the first time this has ever happened, but we have actually gotten this dinner party fact before.
Did we?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because I knew this when I was reading it.
Yeah, that's
I
why
know
you knew
this,
it.
right?
I just read it right now, and I was like, oh, crap.
Let's see if I remember it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still really interesting to
Who
me.
gave it
but,
to us?
It was when we did 18th century
Oh, yeah.
maybe the
Hygiene?
kinky history or the hygiene. I don't remember.
It's about pineapples.
Yeah.
Oh, pineapples are very expensive. Yeah, we bought them.
Yeah.
They're worth lots and lots of money.
I
People
assume you
used to bring
probably.
them to show off.
What about the Toll House story?
Well, anyways,
The
pineapple.
Toll
I
House
got
story?
lots.
Yeah.
I can give you stuff from the food that built America. I know them all.
We don't want your dinner party fest.
Do you know that Fruit Loops were the first time they infused fruit into, because it's a dried thing, because fruit's very easy to dry and maintain its flavour. And then, what do you think was the counteraction from the people at Post? Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, yeah.
Fruity Pebbles. Fruity Pebbles was the first time they used a cartoon that already existed to endorse the cereal instead of making one up like Tony the Tiger.
Well, another thing about Fruit Loops is when we were at that gay nightclub in Minneapolis.
I'm not being homophobic when I say this, but when you walk around a gay club to sort of check out all the menus,
you do a whole circle around the whole thing.
we do it in heterosexual nightclubs.
This is what
but we don't do anything.
This is what was told to us by the man that gave us a tour. He was gay.
The homosexual that was giving us the tour,
Yeah.
right? He told us this, and he said, "Let's go for a Fruit Loop."
Yeah.
That's what they call when you walk around a gay nightclub looking for other people.
That's what they told us. All right.
So there you go. Fun fact.
Well, the pineapple one, just
On food.
in case anyone forgot, you can say it. But then if you have anything else, Kae Lani.
Yeah, because we didn't talk about the Toll House cookie story.
What happened?
Toll House. I do have an interesting one. Okay. So how much do you know about saffron?
Oh, too much. If we did a podcast in saffron, it would be called "I Know About That."
I just know that it's used to. It's expensive. I don't know. It's a spice. That's it. Yeah.
I'm married to an Indian woman. We're all about saffron in my house. We have tons of it. We don't. We have none.
Okay.
I was about to say we have a whole barrel.
Because it was so expensive, throughout all of history, people have tried to bootleg saffron, and they would cut it with other things like safflower. At one point, saffron was actually worth more than gold, so people would take gold dust to try and bring saffron up to weight. And this became such a horrible problem that in medieval Nuremberg, Germany, which was considered the unofficial seat of the Holy Roman Empire because it was an important market in the spice trade through Europe. Saffron, they would check the spices in the markets of Nuremberg. And because this was such a problem, they started enforcing what was called the saffron shao, where it was like if the saffron wasn't pure, you could either lose a hand or lose your life. And if you were found with bootleg saffron, depending on how much it was, you would be buried, or your hand would be buried with your bootleg spices.
That is saffron.
Is that a fun one?
Yeah,
That's
it's very
not
expensive,
sav,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a simple food question. All right, I'm going to give you two categories. What's the best meal you've had in the world for under $20, and what's the best meal you've had for over $50?
Ooh, I'd say for under $20, any drunken night in Germany with doner kebabs.
I love a doner kebab. In Australia, they're doner kebab crazy. And now in Britain, it used to be just for drunk people, but now they call them German doner kebabs, and they've tried to revamp it so you can eat it any time of the day.
We should have one when we're in Berlin.
Oh,
Okay, so
it's
German
already in my
doner-
colon, man.
Yeah.
Okay, doner kebab from Germany.
Oh, and then over $50.
It's any restaurant in the world, really. That's a nice restaurant.
Oh goodness. There was a collaboration dinner like a while ago with Chef Vetri in Philadelphia, but he teamed up with Morimoto, and it was like this bazillion like dish meal where each chef would take an ingredient and express it in with their cultural relevance. So it was Morimoto would do something with Japan, and then Chef Vetri, he's Italian, so he did something with Italian. It was just like the most food I've ever had in my entire life. But some of the most interesting sushi rolls that I've ever experienced. And then every dish, there was like a guy like a sommelier who would come over, and I just remember him presenting a sake with one of the sushi rolls, and he was like, "This sake is made from the water that melts down a mountain, like from the snow that melts down a mountain." It was just beautiful tasting notes.
Wow.
So that was an incredible meal.
Yeah.
Do you feel? I feel that that Western white. This is going to sound a bit supremacy of me, but that white people get a bad rap when it comes to food. Every other culture gets to do this sentence. Food is where the family comes together, and we all sit around the table and we converse and all that type of stuff. And I feel like we can't say that. We can never go, we all get together in front of the TV and we just shovel.
We're not as family centric.
What's the question there? That was just the statement.
No, but you know, I don't. I always feel like whenever we see, like they always talk down on cooking shows. Everyone's always about, in our culture, we all get together and we make the food. And I think that's all cultures. Well,
it's a lot more common here for people to not have family dinners and stuff. I know people still do, but other cultures are much more family centric.
Yeah, but I'll eat their food as well. I eat our food. There's not a cuisine in the world that I don't touch.
Yeah,
I'm in for all of them. I'm very well. There's not a single cuisine that I go, I don't like blah blah blah. There's something on every menu I can partake in, except for I like the
Russian.
My wife's. I don't mind a pierogi. All day I'll have a pierogi. Yeah. Love a pierogi. Yeah. My wife's obsessed with Ethiopian food, and I find the dal, which is like a big bloody crumpet that's got the thing. I don't like that bread. They pick up everything.
It's a little sour, but it's sour. To be,
I don't like that. But I do like they make this chicken with a boiled egg on top. Very good. So I can participate in that.
Yeah. Was there a question?
No.
I just think that, all families get around the table and eat. It's not special.
Okay.
Hot take.
It's my podcast.
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want.
Kae Lani, you can find her on. Are you still the Check Please Philly? You're still part of that?
Yep, I'm actually going to film next week.
So check that out. It's WHYY's Check Please Philly. I'm assuming you can watch that online.
Do you think the Philadelphia cheese? Did you guys originate that, or you nick it from somebody? How did that happen?
What, the Philadelphia cheesesteak?
No, just the Philadelphia cheese, because now
cream cheese?
The cream cheese.
Oh, the cream cheese. I don't think that doesn't really have any association with Philadelphia.
Doesn't it? Then why is it called?
I think that's the brand.
Yeah, I think it's just the brand.
That's the brand.
Because
I think it's made in Chicago.
Sometimes I have the sushi roll that'll have the Philly cheese in there, right? Uh-huh. I'll tell you, Chicago, that's the worst of all the local cuisines in America. I don't want a big fucking pickle spear next to me hot dog, and just make a regular pizza. Stop acting like assholes.
Okay, let me promote Kae Lani one more time.
I'm not even going to argue with him.
Yeah.
It's not
when
worth
was
it.
the last time you had one of those deep dish pizzas?
I hate deep dish.
Yeah, okay. Do you ever have the hot dog with just the cut bits of tomato? And then
I've been
to your baseball and I've seen you all like, you got a Chicago dog, and none of you are eating it. It's like you push it on all the tourists, and we're like, I guess
it's the mutton bird of America.
Oh, it's bloody garbage.
All right, let's
say Kae Lani Palmisano.
Although I have got some gigs coming up, Chicago Theatre.
No, we'll do that in the intro.
Do that in the intro. Kae Lani Palmisano, thank you for being here. You can check her out on Check Please Philly on WHYY. You can look at it online. Also, PBS Foods Delishtory, a digital series on the history of food. And then check her out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kae Lani Says, KaeLani Says. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Thank you, Kae Lani. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. If you're ever at a party and someone walks up to you and goes, I reckon they would have stolen a whole lot of maple syrup before 2000. Okay, I don't know about that. I wasn't watching the news, evidently. Good night, Australia.